Hey, Dr. Brandeis.
Hey, Des, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Hey, what is that over there?
Oh, Des, this is the key to male muscular rejuvenation.
Okay, how does it work?
Well, first of all, I turned 50 a couple of years ago. I have a wife, 4 kids, 3 jobs, and what happened is, as you get older, you start to get a little bit of this, right? It's inevitable. The more responsibility you have, the less time you have to exercise. And I was at a meeting and I saw this amazing piece of equipment called the Emsculpt. You want to see how it works?
Yeah.
Okay. What I'm going to do is first I'm going to put the belt on.
Okay.
I'm not going to scare you by undressing you in front of you. But first we'll put the belt on. All right. And then, oh look, Santorini is one of my favorite places in the world.
Mm-hmm.
We put this paddle on.
Okay.
Okay? This paddle is a T2 magnet, right? A 2 Tesla magnet. It's a tremendously powerful magnet. So the magnets that we use in prostate MRIs are 3 Tesla magnets. It's a 2 Tesla magnet. I'm going to get started, and when I'm started, we'll talk. Okay. So in a second, I'll tell you what it's doing. So nerves conduct electricity, and that electricity causes depolarization of muscle and controls contraction of muscle. So what we mean by contraction of muscle is, if you look at a muscle under the microscope, it's composed of actin and myosin. They're 2 different types of strands, and they have little ratchets. And when muscles contract by utilizing energy, what they do is they shorten. And then when they relax, they lengthen. And so when there's nerve conduction, it shortens the muscle, the same way that the bicep muscle contracts. Now, I could contract the bicep muscle by putting an electrode here and an electrode there, kind of like a battery. And if I ran electrical current through my bicep, it would cause it to contract. A different way to do that is to use a strong magnet to create a magnetic field. And that's what Emsculpt does. Now, if I put pads on my bicep, you're actually generating heat that runs through the skin. So it's actually pretty painful, and it's much more difficult to control. The bicep is a pretty simple muscle. It's got 2 heads. And so the only function of the bicep is to go like this and that. But the abdominal muscle is a much more complicated muscle. You have the abdominal rectus, which are 2 strap muscles that go from the underside of the ribs all the way down to the pubis. And then you have 3 layers of muscle on the side. You have the transversus abdominis, the internal oblique, and the external oblique. So it's really difficult to contract all of those, basically 3 to 8 muscle groups in the abdomen. If you were going to do it electrically, you'd have to put leads basically all over the abdomen. That would be impractical and painful. What Emsculpt figured out is a way to depolarize the muscles and to contract them using electromagnetic current. And that's what you hear now. Let me turn it up. We're only at 15%, but I want you to see how my abs contract. Whoa. I get a little bit of cramping sometimes, which I easily relieve just by pushing down on the muscle. But you can see that this is only 35%. And you can see how my abs are contracting pretty significantly. Now, these are what are called supramaximal contractions. Okay? When a nerve causes a muscle to contract. Let me stop here for a second. That ticking is actually driving the lactic acid out. So after a full Emsculpt treatment for 28 minutes, it's hard to believe, but you actually don't end up sore. You have to just basically believe me, but that ticking is algorithm they built that pushes the lactic acid, which usually causes the discomfort after the procedure, pushing it away. Okay, back to supramaximal contractions. A nerve stimulates a muscle to depolarize and contract, but then the muscle has to repolarize and then depolarize again. And so that limits how much your brain can tell a nerve to tell the muscle to contract. The other thing that it's limited by is the fact that if you're doing something that causes a massive contraction of a muscle, like lifting a heavy car or lifting a heavy rock, that actually can tear the muscle off the bone. And so if you're the brain, you want to have a circuit breaker to prevent the muscle from extending itself, because if you're, say, a squirrel and you tear the muscle off the bone, then you're going to be dinner for some hawk later that day. Now, humans, we can go to the doctor, we can get it sewn back on, but I'm just, evolution evolved for squirrels and apes and monkeys and cheetahs, and so that's basically why we're, as humans, not able to go above 50 or 60% of our muscle capacity. Trained athletes can go to 70 or 80%, but this is able to generate a super maximal contraction, meaning that the amount of electromagnetic activity that it generates can go way above and beyond what you could do yourself in the gym. Okay, so I'm at 35%. I'm going to crank it up just a little bit more. I want you to see what my abs, see how the abs are getting really tight. The problem is now when people see me and they see that I have a six-pack abs, I can't say, oh, I've been in the gym a lot. I'll say, no, I've been biohacking with the Emsculpt. Oh, what other questions do you have?
How often are treatments?
That's a great question. So typical treatment is once a week for 4 weeks. The treatment takes 28 minutes. And at BrandeisMD, you just hang out in this room, you watch TV. We have some relaxing nature scenes on this comfortable massage bed. And you'll be able to adjust the Emsculpt to increase the power however you see fit. So let's see, I'm going up to about 60, and you can see I'm really getting some good contractions. Now with these super maximal contractions, you're burning a lot of energy, a lot of ATP. So there's glucose and glycogen that's stored in muscle, which is a form of sugar. When you run out of glucose and glycogen as an energy form, what you need to do is burn fat. Okay? And so what the results of this have shown that after 4 treatments, the thickness of the muscle, of the abdominal muscle, increases 15%. And the thickness of the fat, whoa, that was a long contraction. The thickness of the fat decreases 19%. So it's almost like kind of pool sculpting, but at the same time, you get building up of muscle. So for someone like myself who's got, a little fat pad, you're going to get rid of the fat pad, and those muscles are really going to stand out. So hopefully at the end of all this, and we'll check back with me in 3-4 weeks. Hopefully by that time, I'll be able to show off a six-pack abs.
Yeah.
The other muscles that you can use are the gluteus muscles or the buttock muscles. That's pretty popular among the ladies. And then there's an attachment for the bicep muscle and also the tricep muscle. So the 2 muscles that I really can't stand exercising are the abdominal muscles and also the tricep muscles.
Got it. Awesome. Thanks for showing us how it works.
You got it. Let me see. I'm going to crank it up a little bit more, torture myself. We're up at 85. Whoa. You're not supposed to go up that fast. But for the purposes of showing, you can see it really pushes out the lactic acid. It's absolutely amazing that you don't feel sore after a workout like this. If you hang on just a little bit longer when we go through this phase, so I'm only at 21 minutes, And I'm not going to bore you by talking for 30 minutes. But when we get through this phase, then I'll go up to 100. You can see what it really can do.
Got it.
So, but this is part of the concept of male rejuvenation that we have at BrandeisMD. So, for guys, there are 3 things that guys care about. One is feeling good, and for that we have the BioT system, which dramatically boosts testosterone. The second is looking good, and for that we have Emsculpt, which builds muscle. And the third is great sex, and for that we have shockwave therapy and PRP. Let's see. We're going to get another big contraction now. We're almost there, but you can see. Let's see. I'll go up to 90. It's a lot of suspense. Waiting to see what my face looks like when I get hit with a 90 contraction. This is great I have a patient who had a protracted long illness, and this is great for building muscle in men who've had a protracted long illness, or I have a patient who has severe back issues and can't do a lot of abdominal work. As long as you don't have hardware in your back. I've had a patient who's had all right, should I go higher?
I don't know. Let's see.
All right, there's 100.
Uh-oh.
Woo, ready? Oh, yeah, that's gonna work. This better be worth it.
One more.
All right. So I'm gonna turn it down a little bit, and I'm gonna sign out because you guys don't want to hear me blabbing on and on. But after this demonstration, I put together a whole educational webinar on the science behind Emsculpt, a basically review of muscular anatomy, muscular physiology, then the science behind Emsculpt, the literature behind Emsculpt, and then really a deep dive into the science for those of my patients who are engineers or scientists or physicists. I give you all the information that you want.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks a lot, Des.
Thank you.
You're welcome.